your book has a whole chapter dedicated to sound design and technology. I want to narrow it down to 4 areas for you, and then the rest of the chapter is background for you. And your chapter doesn't cover things enough, so I'm going to try to expand on that in the next few minutes. Sound has basically 4 areas that you think about, but your book says music, sound effects, and sound reinforcement. I want to break it down, and sound designers typically think of a bigger range of design areas. And the functions of sound are this. One is to heighten the artistic expression of the production. And in that, yes, music and sound effects are important. Okay, they either recorded music or music that's been composed and being played by a live orchestra or a band or an ensemble during the show, or you also have sound effects that you might insert into the show. Okay. As far as playback goes, there are something called a digital audio workstation, or a DAW, D-A-W, is typically how we play back things anymore. Gone are the days of playing a sound effects off of a record or a turntable. Eventually it went to cassette, then it went to reel-to-reel, which is there. Okay, and there's a cassette and a CD player and a digital audio tape player that we used to play sound back from. But typically we're using a computer now. Okay, and in the PC world, there's something called SFX, which is a playback system that can have overlapping cues. And in the Mac world, we have something called QLab. Okay, a pretty inexpensive program, even in the Pro model, that can play video, sound, or lighting. This is a lighting cue, and there's the waveform below for part of Q1. It also has the ability to play video at the same time, and there's the video package that would have come through it. This one has a fade up, and then it was going into the music at the same time, and then there was a fade and stop at the end. There's some bird cues that are overlapping a video cue, and then there's a fade of that. And what a computer can do for you in one of these 2 formats is give you unlimited overlapping cues that a CD or a cassette player or any of the other playback devices, you had to play them one at a time or have multiple machines to have overlapping cues. Okay. So heightened artistic expression, which involves music and sound effects, is important. And then, yes, there is sound reinforcement. When we think of sound reinforcement, we typically think of miking the actors, which typically happens in a musical. Sometimes plays, but mainly musicals, where you have either body mics or hanging mics or floor mics that are picking up them so that the audience can hear them as well as they need to, or in the appropriate manner. There's also the miking of the orchestra and sending that out to the audience as well. But that's all part of sound reinforcement. Okay. The third function of sound is to document. And documenting means that we are recording the show if you've ever bought a original cast recording of a musical or some show with the songs, that's documentation. Okay. With copyright, you cannot document, you cannot record and sell a rehearsal tape or a performance tape from your shows because they're not your original show. But you can record them and use them for rehearsal purposes to improve on the production during rehearsals and tech rehearsals and dress rehearsals. So so recording does happen, and typically in the form of video recording also, so that choreographers can show their actors and dancers how to improve on the production. Okay, so that's documentation. The fourth one is to monitor. Okay, monitoring is split up in a few different things. One is headset monitors, or headsets for the stage manager, the light board operator, the soundboard operator, all the different crew people that need a headset so that they can get their cues from the stage manager or assistant stage managers, and that is monitoring for them. There's also monitoring of pumping the show sound to the booths, to the green room, to the dressing rooms, to the lobby even. Sometimes that also involves video. It also involves sending, we might mic the orchestra and pump that sound in a better way to the actors so that they can hear the music better. And we also might be miking the actors and pumping their voices to members of the orchestra so that they can hear better too. That's all part of monitoring. Okay? To document the sound design in terms of music and sound effects, we might start out with a basic cue sheet like this. Okay? And there's an attachment of various examples of cue sheets and systems diagrams in your module. Okay? But here's one basic one for Shakespeare's The Tempest. Here is one that is in your book that's a little bit more formal and typed up. Okay? All right. And here's another one from Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard, done by one of my students. Okay? And this one's getting a little more formal and has all the listing of the cues. Okay? The system's design might look something like this. Okay? Which is very formal, starts out with sound sources and then goes to mixer boards, what have you, computers, and then to amplifiers and to speakers eventually. Here's a smaller, more basic version for a smaller show. And here is one in Wadsworth Auditorium for a musical called Frankenstein. And then there's one more, just a little different version. Okay. There could also, this one is a speaker plot, where the others are systems diagrams or systems layouts of the sound system. All of that is here just to communicate where the sound is and how the operators, when it comes to the cue sheets, how the operators can follow along with their computers and get their cues from the stage manager. Okay, but the most important part for you is the four functions: heightened expression of sound, which is sound effects and music. Second is sound reinforcement, which is miking things so that we can hear better. Then to document, which are study recordings for rehearsals or show recordings for sale if it's an original show. And then to monitor, which is headsets for cue lines or cues and communication, or to send sound to different areas of the stage so that people can hear better. And anything else in your book is basically background for you today. We have a whole sound design course that you could always take at every other spring in our department. Thank you.